Forza pani się ma. Kiedy go idź od
So yesterday we tried to do that kind of data, how we are going to get that data if it has a delimiter within the data. So how we are going to handle. So it is specific to delimiter file. Okay. So now I want to let me create a new one. So now we know all whatever files we are going to use regularly. So I want to read from that file and I want to write onto the different files. So how we are going to do that? So we are going to take the same file. I have a data which is like a we have prepared. It looks meaningful, and we have like a customer with the address details, and mainly for this customer having address details. So like this is a customer data which is the address details. So this file I want to read and I want to write onto the different files. So this is a this is we are no so this is a delimited file. So we are going to take the delimited component t file delimiter input, and we are going to have the schema. So already we have a schema in our existing job. How to copy that? You can go to that edit schema and you can find that copy icon at the bottom of the edit schema. You have to select the first column and keep press on that shift, and then you can select the last column. So all will be selected, or control A also should work. So you can use the control A, or you can press the shift, keep pressing the shift, and you can select the last column, so that you will get all the columns are selected in that schema. So you can just click on the copy icon at the bottom and go to that other job. So within the job or other job, wherever you want to copy that schema, you can easily copy using that copy option. Okay, I'm copying here. And what is the delimiter? So I'm going to change this to comma. We don't want this hash key. Change this one. So I'm going to refer the file. So where is the file path? So it is in inbound. And field row separator as it is, it's not going to change anytime. It's going to be a slash n, because it's a Java related new field line. Slash n is a syntactics, like you have to use the same one. And we have encoded codes and all. So then if we don't have this encoded things and all, then you don't need to use the CSV option. So CSV option specific to so within the data, if you have any delimiter, again, if there is a chance of same delimiter which you are using for field separator, the same maybe will be there in a data. To avoid to splitting the data into a different column, we have to use this CSV option, which is going to have the enclosed. So this one also they can change it, but by default it's going to be a enclosed thing. And skip empty rows. If you have any empty rows, if you have any empty rows, so now you see, right? I have a 3 empty rows. So if you want to skip that empty rows, you have to select that. You have to select that skip empty rows. If you don't have empty rows, then you don't need to select this. So default, it will be checked only. If you want to remove it, you can remove it. And advanced settings, we already have seen the basics, whatever the advanced settings we are going to have if you want to use anything. So trim columns. So trim columns, how we are going to use. So here is a Krishna is there, right? So I'm going to, so I'll have space after the Manohar, and I'll have pin. So I have provided spaces before the name and first row and second row, like second row, I'll change here. So like this, we may have spaces. Suppose space also be considered as a like a character, and it is going to allocate the memory and all. So if the space is not required, then what we have to do, we have to trim that. That means we have to truncate that space. We have to remove that space. So for that purpose, they have given the option. You can select what are all the columns. There is a spaces available. You want to check the specific columns. All otherwise, or you want to trim all the columns. You want to remove the spaces before and after the string. You can select the trim all columns. So it will take care of removing that spaces and all. So we'll see how it is going to work. And header, we have a header. So we have to pass that one. If it is not going to treat the first row as a data. So it's not a data. It's a header, right? So we don't want to read that as a data. So if you put as a 0, it will treat that first row also in the file. What we have a first row, right? That will also treat it as a data, and it will load into the table or wherever you are going to load the data. And limit, so you have a limit. You are not going to read all the data. You want to limit 5 rows or 6 rows from the file or anywhere in a table. And so table, we are going to write a SQL, and you can write the limit 10 records or something. But it's coming to file, you'll see this option, limit option. So we'll see this next. But right now I'm not going to limit the data. And we are good with the input whatever shared by the someone. And I want to write this data into the different files. So how to write? So at a time I want to write. So we are now familiar with the different file components for writing. So I want to write onto the delimiter with a different delimiter in output file. So what file we are going, what component we are going to use? We are going to use the t file output delimiter. Okay, and one more, we know t file, T file Excel. I want to write onto the Excel file. So I want to write. So write means always we have to look for output components. And I want to write for positional file. And I want to write for XML. T file. So like this, I want to write into the multiple files the data. So just to understand how we are going to write a multiple outputs using same input. So you have a component which can replicate the data or a schema. So the schema is same. I want to create a multiple different types of files. So we have a component. First, what we have get that input related schema, and I want this schema to be copied into the all the all the whatever files I'm going to create. So how you are going to do that? Select that, select Control A. So then you will select all the columns, copy and go to the first component and paste that same schema. I want to copy for all. So this we are doing. So this the way you are going to do, and you don't want any field onto the file. You want to remove this zip, you can remove it. So that kind of thing you can able to handle. You no need to map all the columns. All the time we are not going to map all the columns, right? It depends on a table structure or depends on a business what they feels they want to load in the target state. So they are not going to use all the time whatever fields in there in the source. Same fields we are going to move into the target state. It just depends on their business requirement, what fields they required for the new data model, or based on that they'll ask you to these kind of fields you have to read from this file, these kind of fields reads from the other file. So this is the way you are going to do manually copy the schema from one input to output, or whenever you connect row connection, automatically you will get an option to sync the things. Now I want to use another component, t replicate. So this is the component. You can see that it is giving the direction to different multiple outputs. The input is same, but outputs are going to be the different. So same output I want to pass to the different types of files with different destinations. Also you can go and create a file in different locations. So you want to pass this same file with one file CSV file with some other team, and Excel file for some other team, and a XML file for some other team. So that is a case where we have to create a multiple destination. So the files are going to be, data is going to be the same in the file, but you have to pass create different types of files. Extensions are going to change, and you are going to place these files in a different locations. So you can easily use that component and you can pass the schema. If schema is different, then you're not able to use this. For that we have a other component. Right now this component help you to whatever schema you are having in the input, same schema you want to use multiple destinations, you can use the t replicate. So now you can see main will be get all the components. You can see only main, there is no iterate, there is no rejects, you don't find that. Only you find the only data passing for different multiple routes. You will get the multiple paths. So you can n number of outputs you can connect with this one. So there is no restriction, but schema should be the same. If you want to you want to manipulate the schema and all, it won't help. So you have to make sure the schema is going to be the same for all the outputs, and input is a one. Then you can use the t replicate. Replicate means it's kind of a copy. So it's going to same, it is going to capture the data. It will get the data whatever is coming from the input, and it will try to pass that to multiple files. So for that purpose, we can have this component to use this multiple files creation. So I'm going to refer this and create. So in this, I'm going to create a new folder. So we'll place all the files into this location. First one, I want to create a text file with a delimiter pipe. So extension I'm going to give as a text. Okay, next one is Excel. So now you can see all the schema is synced or not. It is synced. Can leave that. So positional file. So positional file, what is our inputs? We have to make sure the length. So length is very important. So when you are when you are writing onto the position file, so we have to make sure the length. Okay, I'm going to say this as a cust dot dat. You can include header and here see automatically default whatever schema we define, it is automatically coming. We'll see how the data, if there is anything need to be adjusted, then we have to make sure the lengths are followed whatever we have in a input. So I done for Excel. So we'll see sheet name. If you want to change the sheet name, you can change the sheet name. When you are reading also, you want to specify the sheet name, you can specify the sheet name. Include headers and I want define auto column size. So I want to all columns should be automatically synced and it is elaborated the width of the cell. Next one, output XML. You can see it's also good. So we are good with output schema and what is the path, everything we have created. And the labels, I keep telling right now, I'm not concentrating labels. When you are doing a job, you have to make sure that the labels are properly. So T file input delete method. So you can say, so like this, if you can copy the same, that is fine. You can copy same label and paste for output files also. So I don't want to generally I generally when we are doing the coding, then we have to take care of these things. So this the training, I'm not concentrating these labels and all, but for your practice time you can start doing this kind of label changes. And also this don't think what is the use of changing this. It is very useful while you are reading or even when you are going through later sometime also you can feel that what is the difference of labels and all. Naming conventions are very important. Okay, and everything you can change. So if I no need to explain, right? If the person doesn't know talent, so if by seeing this he can able to understand. So he's reading from customer awareness and he's using this component. So at least that sense they'll have, right, something it is doing like a mapper or something. They'll feel that it is transformation or whatever the terminology they know, they can able to understand and they can feel that by seeing this. Okay, he's creating a multiple files for customer addresses or with using Excel. By seeing this delimiter, and this is a XML, and this is a positional file and all. So now here we miss that delimiter. What delimiter we want? We want pipe. We included header. No. One more JSON. We missed that T file. So yeah. So we're good with uh, our job flow. This is going to create a multiple files. So I'm going to run this. It is looking for file. Why? Hmm? Mhm. Okay, let's try for other file. It is access with my folder or something. Let's. Yeah, it's something issue with the folder. It is not able to write onto that folder. Okay, we'll change the different location. System cannot find the path. So I'm just deactivating all other components. We'll check for what is this issue. So let me move it to other folder. I'll go desktop. Okay, I think it's allowing desktop. I'll check that what is the issue with the folder. So I'll change. I'm changing path for again all the files. So this is a good issue. So same issue we are going to see in your real time also. There should be a access level issues. You may get in you are writing into some other people's their servers or somewhere. So you will get this kind of it is not able to find a path. It says it is an access issue like that something. It is exactly what in my mission. I'll check and let you know, but in general you will get a this kind of situation where you are not able to write the files onto their server because they haven't provided access to your etl user. So who like whatever user you are going to use to populate that file into that location, so you will not able to write. So there you have to check with them. So what is the permissions for your user, which user you are using for writing these files and all. So now it is done. So I can go and see at a time all files are we are able to create. So this how you can use the replicate component. You can create all the files at a time. So now you can open one by one and you can see how it is created. So this is a so empty rows. We didn't skip for fourth one. So that is giving the empty row and file output delimiter. We have selected skip empty rows. We'll see that is created or not. Where is the file delimiter? So this one, right? So skip empty rows. here input we have given the skip empty rows. So still we get, anyone can guess what is the issue why we get this one. So we have given a 3 rows extra with empty, but only one we got. Why? Are you able to see what is the issue? Not issue. Why we are getting one empty row and others we didn't get. So overall we have here 8 rows. We got 4 rows.
Actually, we have a dot there at the end.
Exactly. So if you don't have this dot, then it will skip this one also. If you do have a dot means it will treat it as a data is available in that row. So if you have one column as a dot, it will treat the entire row is data is there something. So that's why it is able to read that dot and it is created as a extra row and it has empty for all other fields. Only dot you see for first column. So that's where you have to check. So it's a by mistake happened, but it is a makes sense, right? So other rows we didn't get because those are all empty. So but if you go and see every file, you will have that dot. I'll open that file. See, that is coming, right? So dot is coming for fourth row. Now as you see, right, positional file, all address we are getting properly. So door number, whatever place and opposite and things and city. So we have given the left alignment. So you are getting that, and zip, everything is proper. The lengths are whatever we defined is matched and our data is not overlapped or missed anything in our file. So that lengths are whatever defined in our input, same thing we used for positional file. So now you see that places of 10 is empty. So you can see that red colored dots, right? After the one, after the name, you can see whatever. And now one more thing you can observe. So we have used a trim. So it is trimmed all the data. There is no spaces. We have used that space before Krishna, after Manohar and Hyderabad. We have given that spaces, right? So space is there, space is here, and space here. So everything is trimmed. So trim is going to clear the extra spaces or empty things before and after the string. So that's where we have to use the trim functionality whenever you are trying to do the data. So because space is not useful, right? If you are loading space also, it will occupy the some space. It's going to, if you are loading for 3 rows or 7 rows, that is fine, but you are going to millions of data. So if you have a space, so how much table is going to become, volume is going to become a huge. So that's where we are used when you are doing a like a ETL, then you have to remove the spaces extra, any empty rows, you have to skip that. Though that way you can you can save the memory of the table. So if the table memory is getting increased, you will get lot of performance issues when other people are using the table also, right? That's where we'll split the tables when the volume is more going increasing day by day more. So we are going to split the tables also. That kind of things we have to take care in ETL. That's where standardization, cleansing, or formatting data. So these all things and comes under ETL. So if you cannot perform these things manually, so if I go and I have to do that removing the spaces for a million records, how much time it is going to take? But if you are using a tool, so it's going to be Talend or Informatica or Pentaho or whatever, like Python code or whatever. So just you will put that dot trim, that is going to take care of the spaces before and after. It will try to make that as a length. It is try to make the length appropriately how much you have specified in the schema. If it won't take that space is consider when you are writing into the target state, but it has in source. That is not our problem. It is done earlier. The people how they have entered from the application side, or how they have inserted data into the source system. So that we can't do. But when you are doing ETL, so this question they may forget because it's a legacy system. They don't know how to make sure the cleansing of standardize our data and all. So you can suggest, you can ask that do we need this space for this data, because it's not at all useful when you have a spaces before and after the string. So in between, we have to leave it. Maybe sometimes you have to, because it's a last name, first name. Here you can see, right? So last name, first name, something. So it's just to make sense. They given some space to understand that this is something. And even if you have a opposite, they'll give a space that we don't consider, that is not at all useful. Otherwise, if no, there is no space, you cannot understand opposite Ganesh. You can, how can you read this? So spaces, some places we have to have. So that's where in between you no need to trim, but still that is also happen when business conforms. We have to trim the spaces for this column also. We don't need any space between the word also. But other than that, in general, you have to take care before and after the trimming the spaces for any string column. It is only for string columns. Other the type is a string, for integer number also you can able to trim that. If it is a number type, obviously it won't allow any spaces any target like rdbm, any dbms related things, except files. If it is a numeric also, it will allow spaces. Okay, so carefully you can use that option. So here are the like how to create a multiple files using the same job, and with the schema is same. So we are going to use the T replicate. So now I'm going to rerun to avoid that dot and extra row in the tower files. So it is done. Now we'll go and see why it is coming. I haven't saved. Now you see, right? Three rows are writing onto the target. So it is asking reload. So delimiter is good. So we didn't miss, or we didn't lose any data. And we can check the XML. Others are positional file. Everything looks good. So we'll see XML. So now you can see, right? So under row, you'll have that each and every row is coming each and every column has a tag. Here you can see address, cities, state, zip. Same way you can find ID, name for each and every row. Three rows we have, so three rows are coming. So here you see, right, there is a row. So this one you can label it whatever you want. You want to make it data, or you want to make it address. So you can easily manipulate tag names however you want to populate on XML file. Now you can see, right, customer, customer, customer. So each and every one I'm specifying as a customer. So this is a customer related data. So I just tag name mentioned as a customer. And now, so now what is our understanding here? So outputs are multiple. So locations are files. So if the schema is same, and you want to write onto the same time, so you can use the replicate. It's kind of parallel. So it's trying to write a parallel. All the files all the files same data you can write at a time. So you can use the T replicate component to write the data to the multiple locations at a time. And JSON, we'll see JSON also. So JSON also you can able to follow. Yeah, just this one will just format it. So just I'm trying to format that because we are not able to see in a row, right? It is not copied. Control C. So it is a valid JSON, and you can see I'll copy this. So here you can see, right? It's going to be a JSON are going to be XML. We know it's going to be a tag. So we'll have a column name in a less than greater than symbol. It is called as a tag, and you will find for each and every record. Here you can see, right? JSON is going to call as a key value. So it is a key and value. So key value. So this they're going to be called as key value pair. JSON is going to be called as key value pair. So data is going to be the our root element in JSON, and under that you will have a key value pair for each and every record. So this is a column, this is the value. This is the column, this is the value. So three records we have in JSON also, and you can see that column name and value. So but here they'll call it as a key value. So key value pair in a JSON, and XML they're going to call as tag. So these two are mainly where we are going to use. You want to transform data between the service calls, or it's going to be markup somewhere. They want to read in JSON Node JS, like Node JS or Angular JS. They have a scripting thing, right? Client side. There they can easily transform this data between the client and server. Even you want to pass data between your server to some other location. So instead of reading into database, the XML and JSON is going to be very quicker, and it's going to be very fast compared to database reading. So it needs to call the server, and it needs to connect, and it needs to read. So you have to take care a lot of things when it is reading from database. But XML JSON, it's going to be it's a flat file. It's kind of again flat file. Reading flat file is going to be simple, right? Instead of reading any cloud or database related things. So that's where most of the service calls, not most of the, mainly they'll create a services, and they'll populate JSON or XML formats for data. From there they'll try to store that in a other database or somewhere they can store. But transforming between the different applications. So read connecting with different applications and reading data between different applications, always they'll use the XML or JSON. So specific to XML is going to be SOAP soap services we have in a web service. Two things will have: soap and rest. So their rest is going to allow any format, but people use JSON. But coming to soap, it's going to be strictly XML. So the request is going to be XML format. So you are sending the request to you is going to send as a XML format as defined in the service, and output you are going to receive response as XML in soap. But coming to REST, it's going to be anything but JSON. You are going to see the request format is going to be key value pair, and same way the response you can generate. See, you can generate the response in a different formats also, but people start what is easy, like XML generation is not that simple. Actually, you'll have a multiple loops and a canonical XML. That's going to take a lot of time to generate, but JSON it's going to be quicker than XML, like that, which is always people think, and people start giving the more features and more flexibility when you are using any technology, anything. So now Talend we are using, and we are manipulating. Why Talend become, I told you, right? So you can able to connect any application, any server using Talend. You cannot this much flexibility is not there with other tools. Now people are started, when the market, when people, someone is providing something, you'll start thinking we have to give some better than that. So that way, so many tools now, it's growing day by day. So the competition is gives you like a better everyday new thoughts and new things, right? So same way, Talend. So Talend, they started open source with the different things, and people seeing the Talend how it is growing. So now you can search most of the projects, when wherever you go, the Talend they're trying to migrate, because it's a open source and it is a Java related. So you can easily integrate any application, so without any restriction, without any extra kind of licenses and all. So within a open source itself, you can able to manage. So with this, what I'm trying to conclude, so you can able to generate any file using the Talend. So what is the thing, whenever you are reading file, you have to use the input file. Whenever you are writing a file, you have to use the output file. But what file, what things you are going to get in your plate, in your story, that is depends. So but these are the components we try to understand. With this file related, all the components regularly using in a real time also we have covered. But the transformations and all we'll see. But now we understand how to read from file, how to write into the files, and how to generate a multiple files. If the same schema is there, you want to generate this one. Okay, so now related to this, one more topic I want to cover. This is going to be general for a entire best practices or a entire Talend level. So now you are seeing, right? Last 2 days I am struggling to copy the schema from one component to other component, and I am trying to copy within the job. I am trying to copy in the outside of the job. I am copying from one job to other job. Schema I am handling from manually. So every time I am trying to copy this manually and pasting into our component, or when I connected, I'm just checking is that synced with the output component or not. Now here you can see that option. There is a built-in, you are always seeing, when I am using last 3 days, you are seeing a built-in option. Why this is not, we are not discussed this. Now we are going to discuss why schema built-in option. Always we are just clicking and adding the schema. So here you can see, right, schema built-in and repository. So repository, I told you day one. So repository is means something you can store in a like a like a like a Git repository as a version controlling, or some server place. So somewhere you are storing, and which will be accessible by everyone. So whoever wants to example. So this the job I created. I have done for multiple files and all. But same exercise or something, he need to read the XML of customer, and you need to load into the target as a Oracle by someone Sai or someone. So he don't know. So I have created this job, and we have the schema, and we have labels, everything properly, because already I have created. So if you don't know what he is going to do, again he is going to take a job, and he'll start creating the component, and he'll start start adding the schema, and there is a chance of, if I given here, right, if you see my schema, I have used a is a capital, like all the first letters are capital, that is what I followed. So but when coming to Sai, he don't know, so he'll start giving all the columns are small, or he'll also he'll think crazy. One column he'll give as a capital, one column he'll give as a camel case, one column he'll give as a lower case. So he'll go with his own style of coding. He feel that is good. He feel that is enjoy of doing that kind of things and all. But I don't encourage, right? So when I'm going to give the schema, and I want to across the entire project I want to follow the same schema, same naming convention. Then how I will allow the people what they want to do, so what they want to create. So in that case I don't allow them to create a built-in. So when I allow them to built-in, so I have to restrict that creating a built-in. So I have to strictly ask them to follow the repository. So I want to follow the repository means what I have to do first, I have to create a the metadata or a file. So whatever file we are trying to read or people are going to use for a multiple jobs, that I have to create, and I have to say this is the file which we are going to receive from the customer, and this is the layout, and this is the columns you are going to have for each and every person. Start using that file. Don't create your built-in schemas in your job. So that kind of instruction I have to tell them, then only they'll start using that schema whatever. So if they don't find that metadata, they have to look at my job and they have to go and copy it. So how to make that in a like a available to everyone. So what I have to do, I have to create a metadata. So repository in the sense it's going to be accessible for everyone. Right now it is a local, so you don't access, but when you are connected to the remote environment, so all the developers can able to see what Krishna is doing, what Sai is doing, what Naidu is doing, what Noop is doing. So like that everyone, so whatever people are doing, so it's going to be visible when you are working in a remote environment. So repository is going to the place where you can see the like a structured or a metadata. So repository mainly store for metadata. So job you are seeing, right? So is this job code related? The day one I have shown what are the files is created. When job is created, what are the files is going to be created at the background. In a process folder you can see each job related 3 files. So that is a metadata. So example is one is a job that you know, because technically you have created that job, but what is that job and what the job is going to have, these details all will be defined in your properties file, item file. So that as a technical you are able to follow. So when you are going to tell them what is this job and what are these files, it's a metadata of your job. So this will talk about your job, what is your job name and what is your job is doing and what are the mappings. Those things will be available in your, it won't be visible, right? So if I open that workspace and I'll try to see what is the exercise 5, so I cannot explain over the properties file and all. I can simply say it is a metadata of my job. So it will explain what I have in the exercise 5. So if I open this properties file, this is a metadata. So this will talk about exercise 5 and what components I used and what are the fields I have mapped between this. So you can find all the metadata. So what is the data type for each field. So you can find these details in a item file. So this is a nothing but metadata. It will talk about what your job having. So what is your component. So you have a log row component, and what connection you used, row 1 you have used that one, and you are connected from the T file input delimiter. So these things technically you are able to understand, but who don't know like XML or who don't know Talend, they cannot able to follow these things. But what we can understand from this, it is a metadata. It will talk about what is the things available in your job. It's not going to helpful without a studio. You cannot do anything. You cannot do with the XML. You cannot run anything. But you can able to follow. It is talking about your job, and it has these are the components. These components connected to this component. So the what is the intention of this thing, right? metadata will help you to understand what are the things available related to that job. So it talk about what are the things available, what are the components used, what are the connections. These are all not like metadata. Without metadata you cannot define actual data. Okay, without data you cannot understand what you are doing, why you are doing. So that is the cause. So metadata is talks about your data. But when coming to the data, so data can make you sense what you are did in your job. So metadata and data are linked, so associated. So without metadata you cannot understand, you cannot create a data. But once you created data, what metadata used you can able to follow. So both will be associated always. So you have to say that a textbook definition when you are reading in academic database and all, you when you are writing exam also, you simply write what is metadata means, you will say data about data. So what is the understanding? So what data you are preparing, what job you are working, so what is the your status of your job, this all what is the things we are doing with this activity, that things will be stored in your metadata. So metadata will explain you what is your job, what is your duty. So if you are a person is there generally, so male female, this is a category we have gender. So but gender is what, when you are seeing in an application form gender, you will see immediately, oh gender is asking about what is our gender. So gender is a metadata. But coming to the data, you are male or female, you are going to select. So gender is a metadata, and female or male is going to be your actual data. So without the gender field, how you will fill the you are a male or female? So there is no metadata defined in a form you are filling. So there is no gender, they didn't ask. So you cannot enter the male or female. Okay, but you see that like you don't have that field. So how you will understand the person name is, see for example Krishna is there, Krishna is a like a boy name or girl name, how you can understand? Generally people call even girls also Krishna. So that's not going to be the restriction, you have to call only boy as a Krishna. So we don't know. So we have to have that metadata gender. So example gender is there, it will talking. So we are filling a form, the person name with the person gender and person what is the experience, what is age, everything. But all these comes under metadata. So the form talks about the person characteristics. So the gender is a character, like what is a character in the sense, characteristics in the sense what is the type of gender, so it is a male or female. So without metadata you can understand actual data. Even file also you are seeing, right? So this is a file without keys, how you can understand if I remove this zip? So how you can understand this 50067, what is this? It is just a id or it's just a number? What is the use of this number? We don't know, we need to have that metadata. So then only you will understand. So this is a talking about zip. So this the data is talking about address. So how you will, I'm keep saying address details, because without these labels you cannot understand this is a customer related address information. So that is the metadata. So this metadata we want to get from the repository. So once I define in a repository, anybody can start use that whatever metadata I have created. So metadata is talking about address related, customer related addresses details. So I am going to create the metadata one time, and then people start use the same file. So they don't need to create a multiple times. So how we are going to do? You can go to the metadata and you can click on the file delimiter. If you are dealing with the file delimiter, like delimiter separators, then you have to use the t file delimiter. If you are dealing with a positional file, you can find the positional. If you are dealing with the xml, you can find the xml, you can see the x. So all these, right, whatever we have seen till now except the regex and all, we haven't used it. But other whatever regular we are going to use, all this you are seeing, right? xml and xml, json, xml. So all these files, right, whatever we handle in a built-in, you can create a metadata here, so that you can simply use that metadata. So now I am creating file delimiter metadata. So just you can give the addresses. The file talks about addresses, I am giving the addresses and purpose Again, addresses reading. So this just we feel that what is the type and what is the label. So you want to give the anything, you can give that label, and purpose you can write purpose meaningful, and you can what is the description, what is the use of this metadata. So you can write that, and you can fetch the file where you have a file. So now you can see, right, preview. So if you have a million records, you will not see all the records, and even your studio will go crazy. So don't try with huge data when you are doing a preview. Also, just take the sample metadata. You can create without data. Also, you can create right. Metadata is talk about what we are going to have data. It's nothing but metadata. You can make it simple. It's going to be kind of your layout of your file, or like a header, whatever. So you don't need a data and all. Okay, you just have to have the schema of your file, so that way you can create a metadata one time. Okay, don't go with huge data when you are creating a metadata. So I'm going to select, this is a file which is going to have comma. So you have to select here what are all options you are seeing, right? Everything you already seen in a built-in component. So header, footer, skip empty rows, everything. So these are all options you have already seen in, and the CSV option. So you have to, when you are dealing with any delimiter, if it has any encoded double quotes, then you have to go with the CSV. And what is the escape character? Here you can see what we have used. We have used this one. So you can select that. So all these options, when you are dealing with a component, with a input component or output component, these are all options you have already seen. That same thing you are doing one time. So this is going to be a one time, you are defining one time. So now I'm going to refresh this. Now you are going to get whatever data it is going to have. So you can see, right? So you are getting, it is splitted because you are not having comma field separator. What we have in that file. So we have to select escape character slash. So that's where we didn't get properly earlier. So now you can see, right, the data, even you can be able to see the preview of this data. So, and if you have any skip empty rows, you can select skip empty rows also. So that option automatically available for when you are dragging the component from repository, or when you are selecting from repository. So these are all options we have already discussed. You want to change encoding, so you can change encoding whatever you want to use. You can use anything. Okay, so default you can leave it, no worries. So don't worry about encoding. It just when it is reading, right, the purpose of encoding is to just read the data in a like a binary format. So whatever you can select, so that is fine. But it won't throw any error. If it is throwing, means it's a issue with some library which is not able to support the format of encoding and all. So by default, whatever it is there, leave it. So don't worry. If you are able to see properly data, don't worry about encoding standard or format when you are creating metadata also. If it is giving any error, it is not able to pull the data from your file, it is not showing in preview, then you have to check if obviously it will give a error. So what is the issue with the encoding, or what is the issue with any configuration? Now I have missed it to add this something else, and it is not able to pass the data properly. So you have to make sure, yeah, what your file have, same way you have to select this one. Okay, so now I'm going to click next. So just it will show you the metadata of your file. So what is the metadata? It has all the columns, and a default it is giving the data type also. It will automatically, it is a file or anything, automatically it will try to understand what type of data it is. So id and zip, it is giving automatical integer. We didn't define, right? We didn't define anywhere, just we read the file, and based on that it's understanding the background, the metadata. When it is fetching and it is parsing that file, it understand this is a numeric data, and it has a numeric data. That's where it is taking the integer. So default it is taking an integer. So all data types you can define based on your layout in your metadata itself. So if you don't want to, you want to read as a string, you can change it to string. This is again our component edit schema, right? Same, nothing but a edit schema. Okay, so here you can see the description of schema. This is nothing but a metadata. So now you see the label as metadata. So metadata is a address is a file, and what is the metadata for this description of schema? What are the columns you are going to view, and the columns, what is the type of that columns, and what is the length of that columns? So these all details you will going to read in a metadata. So metadata will give the definition or a clear information about what is your file, and what is the types of data you are going to have, and what is the length of your file, data length, each and every field, and is there any precisions or is there any comments. This kind of information you can able to see and able to follow in metadata. Without this metadata, you cannot understand what is addresses and what are the fields going to be addressed. You have to open and see. Without metadata you cannot understand. You cannot, even you don't have a header, means you are not having a metadata. So how you'll understand that is a address and that is a zip, that is a id? So we need a metadata. So metadata will help you to follow what we are going to have in the table or a file, or what it is talking about, and what you are reading, what you are writing. So the metadata will help you to create a output input. So without schema, without mapping, ETL cannot perform any data loads. So we have to have the mapping information. Otherwise, you cannot create any flow, any job. Okay, just I'm going to click finish, and you will see that one entry is created under the metadata. Now you can see address, and here you no need to open. So somebody created some xyz file metadata. So that xyz, what it is there, is it useful to for you? Then you can go and just check the metadata. So what columns are there, what is it? If this is useful to you, you can use in your job. So now two ways of using this one. I think we are getting out of time. So 2 minutes, guys. I'll close it. We'll continue on Monday. So the addresses, right? This file, this file have these fields, right? So I want to use a metadata. I want to use a component which can read the delimited file and write into the log row. So now we already someone created a metadata. I just want to read this one. Just you can select this, and you can drag into your job area, create a new job, and you can drag into the new area. You will get list of components with this metadata. So you can find all the components which can be supported by this metadata. So these are all supported by metadata for delimiter. So all the bulk components, all the, but we want to just a file input delimiter. So now you can see file input delimiter. So automatically the label changed, and you can find the differences of how it is. It is a readable, it is not a writable. So here you can see it is a editable mode. So this one, because it's a built-in, so you can edit, everyone can start editing and all, but coming to here you cannot edit it. If you want to edit it, means you have to change it to built-in. So once you change it to built-in, it is again same component. So when someone is a lead or someone has defined this metadata, you have to use this one, right? You no need to do any editing and all. So you have to follow the same whatever he has provided in the metadata. So you just read and pull or push whatever you want to do with the data. So you cannot edit anything. It's a read mode. So when you are reading, when you are taking the component from metadata, you don't see option to edit. You want to do editing, then you have to go and change the built-in. Then only you can able to see how we have did last 3 days we are doing built-in, right? So you can see built-in option. So built-in is going to be editable mode. So you can, and you on the fly job you can able to edit and you can able to write, you can change anything. But coming to the repository, it's going to be a readable mode. So that is a advantage and like a usage. So best practices, if I created this, then everyone start going to use this one. They won't change column name, they won't change any data type, any length. So once it is defined, they have to follow the same. And I'll start use of this component reading, and same way you want to write onto the output, then you can select this metadata and you can find the output component here. You want to use a output, this one, not a input. So input is your db something, but the output is you have to generate a output file. Then you have to select the output schema. So output related, you will get that all whatever we have in a built-in mode also, but it is going to be a readable mode. And existing job also you want to change it to repository. So what you have to do, you have to select the property type and go to the select as a repository, and it will ask you to uh, browse that. So you can find uh, what is the metadata available for this address. You can select it and you can click on OK. Automatically this changes to whatever we have in a metadata setup. So same thing, it will be changed. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop with this. We'll continue on this metadata and built-in on Monday. And let me stop.